Hi, I'm Erin Moore, and I'm a professional dancer, actor, and singer living in New York City. I work in theater and in television and film, and opera and industrials, and pretty much anything that uses dance.
Great. So, Erin, tell us about your career journey starting with high school.
In high school, I danced about 5 days a week. I wasn't planning on being a professional dancer. I danced, I played sports, the whole high school thing. And when I was 16, I went away for the summer. I came to New York City and studied at the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater's summer program. And at that point, I sort of decided that I wanted to be a professional dancer. So that was pretty much high school. I didn't really make the decision concretely until I got to college.
Great. So, can you tell us, in terms of did you go straight to college?
I did. I went straight to college after high school. I went to the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, and there I was not dancing, actually. I started off thinking that I was going to be a lawyer, so I was studying political science and the core curriculum, like liberal arts curriculum requirements that they had to do there. And after a summer program away in Colorado, I decided that I wanted to dance. I went there to dance that summer at the suggestion of someone where I was taking dance. And I was saying, wow, I really think that something is missing from my life and I want to do this. And I transferred schools to Fordham University here in New York City my sophomore year of college. And I studied dance and political science at Fordham University.
Great. And then what degree did you get from Fordham?
I got a major in dance with a minor in political science. So the courses that I've been taking at University of North Carolina transferred to Fordham, and I was able to get that minor. So a bachelor's in fine arts is the degree that I had.
Awesome. Amazing. Tell us one aspect, or maybe multiple aspects of your career that are rewarding.
Oh God, there's so many. One thing that I love about my career is that I've gotten to travel in the US and all over the world. And I get to meet people from all different backgrounds, really interesting people. On every different job, it's like you get a new set of coworkers, like if you're doing a Broadway show, there's a new cast, there are new crew people, there's new wardrobe people. If you're doing a TV job, it's a whole new set of people. So those are two things that I've found really rewarding, having like a really varied set of experiences and traveling on someone else's dime and meeting lots of people. I probably should say where I've traveled to, right?
Yeah.
I've been to Spain, and I've been to Germany, and I've been to Bucharest, Romania, and I've been to Montana in the United States, and I've been to Italy, and I've been to Washington, D.C., and I've been to California, and I've been to small places like, Massachusetts, Great Barrington. So literally all over, just to name a few places.
Awesome. In terms of salary, what is the expected salary range for someone in your field of work?
So this really, really ranges. Another thing I didn't say about the careers, like with the degrees that I have, you could be on stage, but you could also be like backstage. There are variety of jobs that happen in the profession that aren't just on stage. Like you can be stage manager or head of wardrobe, or you probably have to study like design, but like there are all these jobs that are not just performing, but that have to do with being in the field of the arts. But the salary does really range, and this is one of the things about the career that I like to be super upfront about. You could be making anywhere from $30,000 to over $100,000, and that depends on what you're doing. It depends on how employed you are, because also part of the career is that you will have periods where you are in between jobs. So TV and film pays more than regional theater. Broadway pays more than, TV and film pays more than Broadway. Broadway pays more than regional theater. So it just depends on what you're doing, and that's why you have such a fluctuation or like big range of salary. So yeah, it very much so ranges.
Great. In terms of workload, in your career, can you tell us a little bit about that, like how heavy it is, maybe the workload compared to the salary that you make?
Workload. That's an interesting question. Again, it varies. When you're working in a theater production, you work 6 days a week, so not 5. You have a Tuesday through Sunday schedule, and you're working from 10 to 6 every day. Obviously, those hours are more when you get closer to the opening night date. We call it 10 out of 12, so you'll be in the theater for 10 out of 12 hours every day. So you might work from 12 to 12 for maybe a month. And then when the show opens, you work at nights, and you go to your show at night, and you have 2 shows, matinees on Wednesday, and matinees and night shows on Saturday. So the schedule's all over the place. Now, when you're doing a TV production, you might work, 16-hour days, 17-hour days. It depends. But the days are a lot longer in TV and film. But the project is usually shorter. So it could be like 1 day, 5 days, a week, 2 weeks, 3 months. But it's not something you'll be working on for a year, which you could be in a Broadway show for a year. So it varies. You could be working on a project for 2 days. You could do a commercial shoot in 2 days and you're done. So it varies.
What would you say is the biggest obstacle in terms of your career? Maybe either getting into your career or what you find difficult in your career already?
I would say 2 things. One, this career is not a career that is a straight line. And you have to be very flexible and very adaptable and very able to juggle multiple balls at once, because even when you are working, you're still auditioning, and there's a lot of in between maintenance. So for instance, like, I'm a professional, I've been working professionally, but I still take dance class, and that's something that you have to do. I still take voice lessons. I still take acting class, even though I'm well into my career. So there's a lot of maintenance. I still exercise, and I'm very mindful of what I eat. There's a lot of maintenance in the career that's outside of you're actually being at work. And also another thing is 1 + 1 doesn't always equal 2. And I think this is most careers, but there are a lot of things that go into you getting a job that aren't necessarily about your skill set. So some of it is your skill set, and then some of it is all of these things you can't control, which is you could be too tall, you could be too short, you could be too this, you could be too that. So there are a lot of things that have to come together, some of which are outside of your control, that go into making you get a job. So those are the 2, I think, obstacles, staying sane and emotionally level, weathering those variables.
Great. Do you think that your performing arts career is viable in the future, or what do you foresee in terms of your career, in the maybe immediate future and perhaps the distant future?
I wish I had a crystal ball. That is the $1 million question. With the pandemic, obviously there's a lot of unknown. Our career does rely on people gathering, lots of people gathering in a space. So with everything that's happening now, what I imagine will happen is that it will most definitely come back, even after the Great Depression. Entertainment, arts always comes back. The question is, how will it come back? Will it be more digital? Will it be, live theater will come back too, but I actually don't know how this will play out and how the arts and entertainment field will adjust and adapt to what's happening now. I think time will tell.
Great. For young students who are maybe considering this career, can you maybe elaborate on the skills that you might need or that you might need to train in to get to the point where you have? And then can you also tell us more, maybe that'll lead into about the type of resume?
Oh, sure. Okay, so the skills, the tangible, really obvious skills are you have to train in dancing, and you have to train in singing, and you have to train in acting, or if you're going to be in wardrobe, you have to train in design. If you want to be a wig maker, you have to train in hair.
What kind of dance did you train in?
I trained in ballet and modern and tap and jazz, all at different points. More jazz and tap in high school, and then ballet and modern in college.
While you were training in college, and actually maybe starting in high school as well, would it be you just do ballet once a week, or how many hours did you train in high school and in college?
So in high school, even though I didn't know for sure that I wanted to do this professionally, I luckily just happened to have been training a lot and dancing about 5 days a week. So that did prepare me for college. And in college, oh God, how much did we train in college? I danced every day, 5 days a week, 2 to 4 classes a day. Each class was an hour and a half. So from 3 to 6 hours a day. And then in addition to that, we had our academics because we did have a liberal arts program at Fordham. So you're dancing a lot, you're training, you're spending a lot of hours training.
Great. And what other skills besides maybe the dancing do you find that you would need or are helpful in your career field?
I think it helps to be self-disciplined and self-directed. I think it helps to be able to present yourself because it's obviously a presentational career. I think it helps to be observant and be able to like watch what's happening in a room, whether it's an audition room or whether it's like on a job, and learn from the people who know more than you and who are like veterans or like highly experienced in the career. And I think this is valuable in any career, being able to look around and be like, oh, okay, and take on the unspoken cues that are given in that environment of like, oh, I see this person's working on something on the side, or I see this person comes in and always knows their lines. So those types of things. And I think it helps to be flexible, and I think it helps to like try to create and build community. Like being nice actually is a skill, like it's actually something that will help you in your career. Yeah, being easy to work with, like come in and do your job, be easy, keep it moving.
Great. It sounds like a lot of the skills that you just mentioned can be carried over into other career paths as well. Do you ever find that or think about that in terms of how you can use the skills that you've developed in your career to even transfer over to other fields?
Yeah, definitely. I think in this career, unlike other careers where you're producing a product, like you are the product. So I am not submitting a report or a paper. I can't give you like, I made the company X amount of money, or like I won this case, or like I was able to get this person from 8th grade to 9th grade and now they're accelerated. Like the product is actually you, me. I come into the room and dance or sing or do whatever it is. So I think the skills that I named seem like they're more valuable in this field, but I actually think that those skills of like being nice and being easy to work with and showing up and doing your job 100% are very valuable even in those other careers where you're producing something and you aren't the product.
Yeah, it sounds like it takes a lot of discipline.
Absolutely, yeah.
Awesome. And then in terms of back to your resume, you know, in most jobs you submit a resume. Is that kind of what you do, or is there something else?
So funny enough, no. So in our field, you do have a resume, but oftentimes, well, you get to a point where you're working through your agent and manager, but oftentimes they don't even look at your resume until after you've already either danced or done whatever is being asked of you in the room. So it looks a little something like we walk into the room, it's an audition, let's say it's a dance audition for a musical. You walk into the room, you learn the dance, they make a cut, then they might look at the resumes at that point. Sometimes they do look at your resume in order for you to be invited to the audition, but that is the casting people. That's not actually the choreographer or the director or whoever is actually going to choose the people. So it is, again, presentational in that way. They are choosing what shows up in the room. It's you. So yeah, the resume is important, but it's not as important as if you're getting your job by sending your resume in and they're deciding by looking on what's on paper. Like they're deciding in real time.
Yeah.
So,
also, yeah. I've heard like in the corporate world, like, you know, sometimes like people have like corporate headshots. Do you guys have?
Oh, and your headshot.
Like
we also get chosen by headshots. Like they look at pictures and they say, oh, this person looks like they might be right for the role, or this, you know, we're casting a woman who is 5'7" and black and can, you know, tap dance. So they might look at the headshot and look at my resume, which will say my height on, and say, okay, she's black, she's 5'7". Oh, we see she can tap dance. Bring her into the room. So that is part of the process as well. Like your headshot it's a bit like your calling card. I just aged myself by saying calling card.
Wow, this all is so interesting and fascinating. Do you have any sort of advice for anyone that's considering going into the field? I know we started at high school, but I feel like I've heard some people say that they've started like younger in their training. Like just maybe like last thoughts or advice for people who might consider going into your career field.
I will say that like anything else, it takes a lot of hard work. I think it's something that's a lot harder to pursue professionally and become a professional at if you don't start it in middle or high school. Like that's actually on the late side. Doesn't mean you can't, but that's the reality. Like you have to have been training. It's not something you can decide in college without having trained. Sometimes that's different for men because there are fewer of them in the business, but so you have to have trained. And I would say like everything else, like perseverance, showing up really as who you are. And you really, I don't think it's easy to be successful in this career if you don't love it, because there's a lot of, I don't want to say adversity, that's not the word, but it requires a lot of flexibility and a lot of going with the flow and a lot of self-discipline. And if you don't love it, you're not going to be able to maintain that. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Erin.